All right. Both parties waived the PSI and the TAP evaluation. Is that correct?
Before we even get into testimony, pay close attention here. Both sides waived the PSI and evaluation. That means the judge is making decisions without a full pre-sentence investigation, relying heavily on what's said in this room. That raises the stakes immediately. Everything you hear next matters.
Yes. Joanne, I guess. It's okay, don't hurry. It's okay, don't. Right in this spot here. Right in this spot.
I see that you're lipping. Do you need a seat? You're lipping. Do you need a seat?
No. It's something of good looks and.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record. If you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Joanne.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you.
All right, you may
I'm
proceed.
sorry, I mixed up the names again. You're Robert Moreno's mother. And of course I want you to, make sure the judge knows all the voices. Robert has been in court. He's been here present. He's been here present in person before in a wheelchair. Can you tell the judge medical condition is?
Robert was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus.
This is the moment the defense is clearly leaning into. Severe lifelong medical conditions, total dependency, and a mother who's been a full-time caregiver since birth. The question is not whether his condition is real. The real question is whether it changes accountability. What do you think should matter more here, health or harm?
9 months and 9 years. The doctor stated that there would be like maybe three placements throughout his lifetime.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Robert has been a sickly person, sickly child, in and out of hospitals, doctors. The last one was the worst one. He's had the worst one. He's had surgery from not being in a proper wheelchair, which we had to fight to get, I've always been his caretaker. And I've always taken care of him, nursed him back to health. And the last one was the gas gangrene. He's got incontinence problems, which he takes medication for, and he still has problems with his bowels. With the leakage, I guess it broke his skin. He ended up getting gas gangrene. He ended up getting gas gangrene in his coronary and abdomen. And while he was here in jail, something that we always have to look out for, tissue breakdown. He has problems with his bowels as well. Like I said, I've always been his along with my sister. My right hand, you could say, his second mother. And I just want to let y'all know, like, plead for mercy, in case he'd be able to be on probation. Reside in a home where there is no children, no internet, phone, no use of a phone. He'd be under supervision at all times. My sister works at 9 in the morning. My sister works at 9. We don't know how something like this could have occurred. It came as a shock to us. We only knew the very minimum. And we would like to get him help with counseling. Resolve this problem. But he's always going to.
Notice how the testimony keeps circling back to supervision. No phone. No internet. No children. Constant monitoring. This is the defense trying to answer the judge's biggest fear. Could this ever happen again? And courts are extremely skeptical of promises made under pressure.
Food. Judge, I have tendered to the state medical information. I'd just like have it be able to in the hands of the court to more or less verify. It's recent. That's what I was asking. I did piles and piles of information. We have a lot that goes back a long way. I want you at least know that condition is not temporary. In other words, somebody come into court and say, well, Judge, I need to be on probation. And then they more or less get out of the wheelchair once they get what they've asked for. Once they get what they've asked for. This obviously based on based on stuff that I have. This is like it says Mr. Wright. This is like it says Mr. Wright file. Verification of the spina bifida of the spina bifida, which as you know is the spine, which as you know is the spine born outside the body, the spine outside the body. It's not something, and it's not something going to go away. So his mobility go away. So his mobility is limited, and of course I can't. And of course I've gone over this. Absolutely, I've gone over this. With his mother and next mother and next lady with attention for your how did this happen? How did this happen? Again and again, told them that what told them that what would expect is that this could never happen. That this could never happen again. I think we've at least closed off one avenue. For purposes of any if he doesn't have. If he doesn't have the ability to go out and go to places out in the park or out in the park or anywhere like that. So the next question, of course, is in my mind for judges. In my mind, that I would want the judge to know, and that I would want the judge to always consider. First thing we think of is first thing we think of is well, if it happened before, it can happen again. Well, if it happened before, it can happen. I've tried to make sure that she understands. She seems competent as far as her insights and explanations. And knowing be explained away, cannot be explained away, but it has to be stopped because it is something that we want to make sure that continue. We want to make sure that any communication, anything like this, enable him to do anything like this. And she is here to tell you about that. Here to tell you about that. To try to promise you that. To try to promise you that. The only thing that I can't stand up here and make sure that you know about is sure what to do. We're not really sure what regard to some type of 24/7. Because as you've heard, you do because as you were correct. You do continue to work correct.
My sister works in the evening. My sister works in the evening.
Would there be any time? Would there be any time?
Yeah. That he would be alone now.
Yeah. So the judge can be assured that someone will be there not only take care of him, but prevent him from being on the internet or having
we would have no internet to begin with, and he wouldn't have any access. He would always be under supervision. So
before when there was a need, maybe for a telephone. I'm just if someone's in a wheelchair. If someone's in a wheelchair, fire breaks out. Let's say a fire breaks out. Things could come up where they would need to contact 911, for example. Okay, so there wouldn't be a need for that anymore because he would never be left alone. Because he should never be left alone. That's the assurance you're giving the court. Pass the witness. Thank you. Pass the witness.
I'm the prosecutor in case. Just a few questions. You were Mr. Moreno's mother. You were Mr. Moreno's mother. And back. Okay. And that incident occurred. When this incident occurred, 19 years old. He was around 19 years old. Are you aware of that?
No.
What is your understanding? What is your understanding?
I understand it was several years ago. 2019, about that time. And as far as I knew, I thought it was contacting on the phone and stuff talking and stuff like that. So when the attorneys spoke to me about everything and came as a shock, I didn't have quite a shock.
So at that time, was he residing with you primarily?
Yes, he's always.
What was he doing at that time? Was he working? What was he doing at that time? Was he working, going to school?
Going to school.
And how are you related to the victim in this case?
She is.
And you understand that she was 9 years old. when this happened?
I don't remember what her age was. I don't remember what her age was. I think they had told me that she was about 13.
Pass the witness.
Well, just to make sure you're completely, aware, you understand, okay, you and I have carried on many conversations about the discovery.
Yes, everything that's come out. Yes, everything that's come out.
So you're basing your information now, what you discovered, Right, thank you. May I call my next witness? Thank you. May I call my next witness? Oh, yes, Judge, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, Judge, I'm sorry.
All right, so.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to understand something. I want you to understand something. Keeping an open mind and I'm listening to everything. But sometimes when people are called as witnesses, they're asked, they're asked, make sure that this person follows the rules. Make sure that this person follows the rules. That's really not your job. That's really it's not your job. It's the person who is on probation of all the rules. So according to the stipulations that I've read,
This
started when she was 7.
The judge corrects the record. According to stipulations, the contact started when the victim was 7. That directly undercuts the family's understanding of the timeline and makes the court's concern far more serious. Stipulations are facts the defense already agreed to.
But that's what it says in the stipulations. That's what it says in the stipulations. And that's when they said inquiries. They were making inquiries as to what was the age range for his. I just want you to understand. That I'm also, you know, I've also reviewed the stipulations as well. So none of this is your fault. So none of this is your testimony gave me great insight to his medical issues. Okay.
If I may add one more thing, Judge. I've had no contact with my niece nor her family since all this came out. But I still love her. I still care for her. And I do hope that she is some kind of counsel for her.
Because in the stipulations,
I know how drastic it is.
In the stipulations too, continue to reach out to her. And then there was some blocking going on. So I just want you to understand the full extent of everything that I'm considering and everything that I'm considering. Thank you so much for your testimony. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you. God bless you too. Call your next witness. God bless you too. Please. Call your next witness. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth will be the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God? You can lower your hand, state your name for the record. Rosemary is defense, you may proceed. All right, defense, you may proceed.
How do you know Robert Moreno and his mother?
He is my nephew, and she is my sister.
Now, I don't think you could hear, but we were talking about things that I've talked to y'all about previously about give some type of reassurance with regard to controlling contact and with anyone. You understand what I'm talking about? Remember? We discussed it more than once last time in the room a few weeks ago. She was talking about his mother was talking about monitoring. And we realize that it's something that would require more or less 24 hours. You know what I'm talking about? Talk to the judge a little bit about your ability to be a part of that. Maybe what your hours could be, what you talked about with your sister. What needs to be done to make sure this doesn't ever happen again with anyone.
Judge, basically, she clarified everything. I know we're not above the law. No one is. But I do pray for my nephew. And my niece.
Do you? Excuse me for interrupting.
Yes, I work at night, and my sister works in the day. I'm sorry.
Take it from that point. We were talking about a 24-hour situation.
Yes.
Day situation. Do y'all live together?
No, but during the time before Robert Lewis got arrested, he was staying with me. My sister living with me. My sister would come and stay with us. We talked about it. If it came down to it, I would be willing to open my home to them.
So there would be. Are there any children in your home?
There's no children, no internet.
It would be the three of y'all Your sister and you, or do you have a husband, or do you have a
And my
husband, or
father.
how's it
Your
work?
father.
And my father.
Your father. So, you work at night. What kind of work you do? Night. What kind of work you
I'm a
do?
housekeeper.
Okay.
I'm a housekeeper.
Okay. At, where would that?
Santa
At,
Rosa.
where would that?
Santa Rosa.
The Santa Rosa Hospital? The Santa Rosa Hospital? How long have you been doing that? Okay, thank you. How long have you been doing
9
that?
years.
9 years.
9 years.
So that's from what time? So that's from what time in the evening do you start and when do you get off? And when do you get off?
I started at 3 and I finished by 11:30.
So 3 PM, that's in the afternoon, and
Yes.
that's in the 11:30.
Yes.
11:30 at night, right before midnight, right before midnight, and you could come back home. You could come back home after that. Monitor Robert and monitor Robert, like you said, there's no internet. Like you said, there's no internet, no phone. Is that correct? No phone. Is that correct? So he would be cared for. So he would be cared for, and his medical condition is something that you is something that you have probably been aware of for his whole life.
Yes, correct.
What would that be?
Yes,
What is his
correct.
medical condition? What would that be? What is his medical condition?
Yes,
Do you
I
understand?
Yes, he has spinal bifida. He has spinal bifida.
And that is something that he was born with, or did. So his whole life he's been. So his whole life he's been condition that he's in now. Condition that he's in now. Different medical issues. He's had different medical issues come up. Right. I believe too. Right.
He's always getting sick. He's always getting sick. My sister's always in the hospital. My sister's always in the hospital with him.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask a lot more. I'm not going to ask
trying
a lot
to make
more.
sure that the judge
trying to
knows
make sure that the judge knows that it's the picture that what is visualized here, which sounds like the assurance that she's got. The assurance that she's got. He's not going to be in a position to do this again. He wanted to do this again. Do you know one more thing? Do you know the one more thing? Do you know the that we're talking about here?
Yes, I do.
That we're talking about here?
Yes, I do.
You know her very well, or you know her very well, or
I practically raised you. I practically raised you.
okay. And you know about the facts of this case. And you know about the facts of this case. You were surprised as well, I believe, correct? Now,
Yes.
as Robert goes forward, we hear about things like bed sores or whatever. Bed sores or whatever. Sounds like you might be familiar with that if you work at Santa Rosa, right? And you've been involved in as a housekeeper. Are you involved in people in a nursing situation or what is the extent of your duties at Santa Rosa? Just briefly.
Just securing, patients.
Okay. Do you deal with patients at all?
No.
But you're totally willing to help. Totally willing to help with Robert's any way with Robertson's, no matter what they may be. No matter what they may be, if it's even.
I've helped out taking care of Robert.
Thank you. The judge may have some questions. Thank you. The judge may have some questions.
Nothing from the state.
Any questions?
Nothing from the state.
That's all we have.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
Coming down. One to let you know I've heard everything that you said. I've internalized it. I've internalized it. And I'm considering everything. Stipulation. And in reading stipulation. Even though he has these medical conditions, you're aware that according to the stipulation, he did engage in physical contact with her. And according to this, he also.
Even with medical hardship, the judge is clearly separating sympathy from sentencing. Disability does not erase conduct. And when threats are mentioned, especially involving another child, the court's focus shifts from care to public safety almost instantly.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Any other witnesses?
I asked Mr. Reno to
Okay.
explain briefly.
All right. If you can unmute yourself, please. You're going to raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Robert Moreno.
Then she may proceed.
Thank you.
All right,
Robert,
you may proceed.
thank you. You've been listening to your mother here today. How do you feel about admitted by entering a plea, even though it may be no contest, you've admitted done these things. You've done these things.
Correct. I got like 3 months.
Correct.
I got like 3 months.
Do you feel like that you did something wrong that you shouldn't do again? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I do. I'm deeply ashamed. I do. I'm deeply ashamed to anything like this again. Do anything like this again.
Do you have?
I'm sorry. You're.
Do you have?
I'm sorry. You're breaking.
Okay. Well.
Robert,
with regard to being on probation, is there anything you'd like to say? Is there anything you'd like to say before she makes her decision? Before she makes her decision, you should have a chance to be on probation. Will this ever happen again? Will this ever happen again? Are you sorry? Think about. Tell her what you think about here in your life with regard to this offense.
Right. Well, as I said, I am deeply ashamed of my actions. I was young. I was very dumb. I made mistakes and my actions. I feel for my family as well. This came to a shock to them. As they said, this came to a shock. I apologize to them, and I apologize to them for putting them in this position. I want to thank my family for standing by me through this situation as well. As for your consideration for probation, I appreciate you taking into consideration everything, Judge. As my family said, they would set. As my family said, scenario where I would be under their supervision. I would be under their 24 hours a day, practically 24 hours a day. No internet, phone, no way of contacting.
Robert, with
anyone that could be a victim. Yes, sir.
Robert, with regard to your medical condition, kind of on a timeline going forward, using the past as a reference point. Are you receiving the kind of care that you had received before you were put in jail?
Not to the extent that I was previously to jail. No.
Without getting into detail.
I have been receiving care, but it hasn't been.
Pardon?
Oh, if you could repeat that last answer, sir. Let me ask it again. Are you receiving the kind of daily care or whatever required that you were receiving outside? Are you getting the same kind of care as you were in jail with regard to your medical needs?
Not to the extent that I was before. Being arrested.
What on a weekly basis? Just kind of an overview. Do you need something done every day? With regard to you being in your wheelchair, since you're paralyzed? Is that happening? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I use catheter stuff.
I understand. It's okay to talk. I need to know.
Catheters, I use them daily. And sometimes those, the nurse will skip a day that day, or I'll ask them to give that day, or I'll ask them to get busy. Usually I won't. So every once in a while I won't get the materials that I need, the materials that I need in order to help make sure that I
Is it harder in jail? Taking away the fact that you're in jail. Medical attention that you receive on the outside, even though they try to keep up with what your needs are.
I understand they have other inmates and other patients that they have. The amount of care that I personally receive is not to the extent that I received before jail.
I know you're getting medication. I've checked on that, correct? I'm talking about other types of things, such as cleaning and the like, medical attention, good or bad.
Yes, it's not to the extent that I wish that it was before. The way that it was before.
Not the same as with your mother.
Correct. My family was much more thorough. My family was much more thorough. They would be able to keep my health thorough and keep my health in shape. Tip top right here.
Thank
Whereas
you.
here, I would just like to mention that I've had not just the one that my mother knows, not just the one that my mother knows about. So I've been receiving wound care here and there, throughout the 8 months that I've been here.
Do you require outside doctor that you have or have not received? That you have or have not received?
Yes, I have a, well, like I said, my mother said, I have the VP shunt in my head. If that were to break down, if that were to break down, or if that were to be damaged, or if that would need surgery for that, I would need surgery for that. On top of that, any wound care, we would have nurses that would come and supply the medical equipment and show my mother how.
Gentleman standing over to the, on your screen, he's on your screen, he's not Mr. Wright, who you met, Mr. Wright, but he might want to ask you some questions on behalf of the DA's office, okay?
Okay.
So answer his questions appropriately.
Yes, sir.
Appropriately. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Marino, before your arrest, where were you receiving most of your medical care? Okay. And you understand that in the jail, you have a right to medical care.
Yes.
Just going to the facts of this case, I know you stipulated the evidence in the case.
Right.
On multiple occasions. Correct?
I don't recall. More than one occasion? But if that's what it says, then.
Well, you would have the best person to know that information, correct? And how old was your cousin when this occurred?
From my understanding, she was on the age of 13, but the stipulations state otherwise.
So you disagree with that? So you disagree with the stipulations, aspect of the stipulations?
Correct.
Okay, and how old were you at the time?
Roughly 20. 22.
And then you've also stipulated that you engaged with her online, correct?
Correct.
And how old was she when that occurred?
Go get an address.
And so it was around the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your position is that you did not send any photographs of her because she sent my understanding? Is that my understanding?
Correct.
And why would she do that?
Correct.
And why would she do that? Why would she do that?
5 years. Last time, 65 years.
I basically convinced her to do so. She, I guess, felt like she necessary, otherwise she might get in trouble, or I tell someone. I'm not
so you're the one that made her do that. You're the one that made her do that.
Yes.
And did you threaten her? As the stipulation detailed?
No, I didn't threaten her.
So that would be, if she said that, she would not be telling the truth.
And guess what?
You realize the emotional harm and trauma that you inflicted on this young woman?
I do.
And do you have any children, Mr. Moreno? Mr. Moreno?
No.
If you did have a daughter, and this probation would be appropriate, if someone that had done that to her at that age,
Not necessarily.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. All right, thank you, Mr. Moreno. Any other witnesses for either side? All right, in cause number 2025 CR00820, guilty, sentence you to 13 years in the prison. For any time served, there's $1,000 fine. There's $1,000 time and money to run concurrent with 2025 CR008. There's to be chapter 62 compliance. There's to be no contact with minors. There's to be no residing in household with minors and no contact with the complainant. In 2025 CR008 finding you guilty. The court is finding you guilty. 13 years in the prison. Give you 13 years in the prison. Give you credit. There's $1,000 fine. There's $1,000 fine. Time and money to run concurrent. 2025 CR00820 62 compliance. No contact. No residing in household with minors. No contact.
13 years. no probation. No discretion left on the table. This ruling tells you exactly where the court landed. Medical needs were considered, family support was heard, but the harm and risk outweighed everything else. This case is a reminder that courtroom empathy has limits, especially when minors are involved.